The following recording was created by the Regional Educational Laboratory Southeast at Florida State University. Information and materials for this recording are supported by the Institute of Education Sciences, National Center for Education Evaluation and Regional Assistance, Regional Educational Laboratory Southeast at Florida State University. Contract ED-IES-17-C-0011 as resources and examples for the listener's convenience. Their inclusion is not intended as an endorsement by the Regional Educational Laboratory Southeast or its funding source, the Institute of Education Sciences. In addition, the activities and instructional model discussed in this recording are not intended to mandate, direct, or control a state's local educational agencies or schools' specific instructional content, academic achievement system and assessments, curriculum, or program of instruction. State and local programs may use any instructional content, achievement system and assessments, curriculum, or program of instruction they wish. My name is Laura Knapp, and I will be leading a discussion with Brandon Garland, Innovation Office for Johnston County Public Schools, and Catherine Trudell, Principal at Clayton Middle School, on the implementation of personalized learning district-wide in the Johnston County Public Schools. The goal of personalized learning in Johnston County Public Schools is to implement instructional practices that meet the unique needs of all learners and empower students to take control of their learning. In traditional learning systems, time is the constant and learning is the variable. However, Johnston County Public Schools seek to create a personalized learning system in which learning is the constant and time is the variable. Their model includes flexible pacing to allow students to master learning objectives, standards-based or competency-based grading to focus on mastery of learning objectives, and student ownership of their learning, both in how they learn and how they demonstrate what they have learned. Brandon Garland serves as the Innovation Officer for Johnston County Public Schools in North Carolina. He has served as a teacher, assistant principal, and was the principal of Johnston County Early College. In his current role, he leads a team that fosters student-centered educational practices and scales their district implementation. He also spends time meeting with local, regional, and national business leaders that provide insight into the knowledge and skills students will need upon graduation. Brandon, what motivated the decision to implement personalized learning district-wide in the Johnston County Public Schools?
Well, thank you, Laura. Over the past few years, our stakeholders have shared that they wanted school to look and be different. Parents and students wanted learning to be relevant. They wanted engaging, and they wanted to access it in a way that was interesting to them. Now, there's no denying that the technological changes and advances have helped push personalized learning. Students have virtually unlimited access to data and content, and that's literally in the palm of their hands. So what does that mean? It means we have to educate children in a way that they can be successful in the world that is a faster paced, more demanding, and needs solution-driven decision-making. We believe that by incorporating the fundamentals of personalized competency-based instruction, that we can deliver the skills and the foundations that children will need to be successful in a globally, rapidly evolving society. Dr. Renfro and our board call our plan for this JOCO 2020. That's a stake in the ground as to how our schools will look by the year 2020. It's a challenge, and we know that we're going to experience different levels of implementation, but that is our ambitious goal.
What have been the overall reaction from district staff and from principals as you're implementing these changes?
Well, Laura, this is a very large district. We have 43 schools, and the reaction ranges from excitement to fear, from eagerness to hesitation. But implementing PCBE, this is a huge lift. And what Dr. Renfro has asked us all is to self-evaluate what we're doing, how we do business, and to adopt a growth mindset. We are fortunate that we have a number of early adopters who are making changes in their classrooms and their schools. As a district, we see pockets of change. The challenge, as always, is to take those adoptions to scale.
So from the district level, what support or flexibility have you given the staff at individual schools in order to implement a more personalized competency-based model?
Well, our district has had to make a number of changes because this is just not changing a grading system or a reporting system. We're changing the entire instructional model and how we do business in the business of education. But remember, we are still in the early stages of this adoption, and we like to call this phase 1. We spent last year engaging our central office staff and our local level, school level administrators in the foundational elements of personalized learning. We had monthly principal meetings at school sites where we conducted walkthroughs with our principals trying to define personalized learning and student engagement. At the district level, our traditional offices of academics and professional development were reorganized under a new Department of Academic Innovation. We did this to offer consistency and alignment of academic and professional learning opportunities to the entire district. Dr. Renfro has challenged us to be innovative in classroom environments and to take risks to support student engagement. Schools across the district have adopted flexible seating, they've adopted different levels of personalized learning, and have conducted professional development at the school level to increase awareness and opportunities so each teacher can engage in these new and exciting methods.
And are there tools that you've used to support implementation?
Well, this year our district has engaged in a system-wide plan of early release days to open the doors of professional learning to our teachers. We opened a new school, the Johnston County Innovation Academy, and that's going to serve as a lab school for the district. IA, as it's referred to, was designed to be a school site where personalized learning, project-based learning, and standards-based teaching and grading were all embraced and implemented on the first day of school. This serves as a site where teachers and principals will be able to visit and see student engagement in a new learning model. We have offered a number of professional learning opportunities to our district, which include project-based learning, an emerging leadership series, work around standards-based grading, and work with personalized learning.
And looking outside the school, have you engaged business and community partners in this work? And if so, do you have any best practices or lessons learned for engaging business and community partners?
We have. We have to understand that our schools are really the property of our community. They're community schools. We developed an Innovation Council and a CTE Business Advisory Board, and they meet regularly. Our business and community partners have challenged us to create learning environments that will allow students to become problem solvers, communicators, and collaborators. From those conversations, Johnston County Public Schools has adopted a portrait of a graduate, which gives us a goal to which a student from Johnston County will leave us with. These skills include being a critical thinker and have inquiry, have a balanced self, be identified as a problem solver and value creator, be an excellent communicator and collaborator, be knowledgeable of content, show grit, have cross-cultural proficiency, be a self-directed learner, have a growth mindset, and in all things be ethical. We know that the changes that our school board and superintendent are leading will deliver on these attributes to our community.
Next, we will hear from Catherine Trudell, who's the principal of Clayton Middle School in the Johnston County Public School System. Prior to serving as principal, she was a high school English teacher, senior administrator in academics for the Wake County Public School System, and an assistant principal. She received her undergraduate degree at East Carolina University and her MSA from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Catherine, what does personalized learning look like so far at your school?
It's definitely a journey. And at our school, we have really taken seriously the initiative of JOCO 2020 and really thinking about the relationships that we want to build intentionally and really thinking about the idea of innovation and what does that look like in a school and really thinking about the relevance that we want to bring between the curriculum and our students. And I think the approach to personalized learning is what really brings all that to life. And it is about meeting kids where they are and helping them become empowered to know what it is they want to learn and to figure out where they want to go. I think as far as personalized learning, what we're finding is the more that we're attending to the students themselves, which is kind of the crux of it, that's where we're seeing that relationship becomes much easier. And students really are starting to feel more that their teachers are taking an interest in caring in them. So just by really attending to who the students are, all the tenets of JOCO 2020 sort of come to life.
What has been the overall reaction from teachers and staff as you've been implementing these changes in your school?
I think my staff is on board. They find value in really both JOCO 2020 and the CBE model. And I don't know that there's a distinct difference between what both of those initiatives want. They're on board with the value system that sort of undergirds both of them. I think the trouble is, how do we get there? And so we are doing a lot as a staff to really inform ourselves, and we do a lot of reading and trying things out and trying to take some risks in the classroom. And I think with any staff, you've got some who are ready to forge ahead, some who want to see, how did that go before I try myself? And some who are going to, once we know that that's nailed down, then I'm going to be the next one on board. And I think we have to remember that every institution needs all of those. We can't have everybody trying everything at one time, or we might go in a million different directions. So as far as the reaction, I think it's been very positive. And I think that because we're seeing those relationships build with our students, and we're seeing our students start to be empowered by knowing what they know and knowing the direction that they need to go in, I think we're seeing teachers get more and more on board with moving students kind of fluidly through something, which is CBE. I think at this point we're really focused more on a standards-based approach as a first logical step.
And what have you done in terms of building a culture for competency-based education in your schools?
In building the culture, I think the first thing that we've really attended to is infrastructure. I think with any good initiative that might take place, you've got to build the infrastructure for it to happen first. So as far as building the culture around it, we have thought about what are those steps that would get us to that end. One of the core pieces that we are really focusing on is having a quality Tier 1 instruction. We want a standards-based model and we want a CBE model, but all of that is really hinged on the daily instruction that goes on in the classroom, and if it's not high quality, then all these other things might fall apart. So that has actually built a good culture in our school and a common language around what does good quality instruction look like? And then how do we make sure we're meeting every student where he or she is?
What's been the most valuable professional development for you in helping implement competency-based education in your school? And what, if any, professional development has been provided for teachers to help implement this model in their classroom?
So when we started our journey at Clayton Middle, we actually started with deciding on an instructional framework to build a common language in our school. And so we, as a school improvement team, decided that we would use classroom instruction that works as that common language. It's just fit really well into this bigger picture because it asks you to attend to standards, it asks you to attend to learning targets and providing feedback to students, all those pieces that are really important to CBE. That initiative kind of helps hone some of those skills. So we've done a lot of professional learning around what does good quality instruction look like. And then last summer, I think it was May, a book came out, and Marzana was one of the co-authors of it, and it was a personalized competency-based education. And so as a staff, we did a summer reading club around that text. And quite a number of staff opted in to joining me over the summer. Let's read this book. We tried to make it a very safe place because with any book, we're going to find things that we absolutely aspire to, and we're going to find things that we absolutely disagree with. And we made a really safe place to discuss what is it that we really like about this? What are those things that if we could envision what that would look like here, that's it. And what are the things that we have some hesitancy around and that we really want to consider, what are the implications of that? So that's some of the learning that I think has really helped develop the mindset of the teachers. That's where we started to pay close attention to what are the cognitive skills, what are the metacognitive skills that we want students to have, and how do we move our students, not just with that academic portion of the learning, but how do we also build the habits of mind and the skills that we need kids to have if they're going to be, responsible adults. So throughout the year, we've also then continued with our early release that the district provides to us. We've done some staff learning and creating so that we can try some stuff out.
What has been the most exciting thing for students in the work that you're implementing?
What excites me most about the students is what I hear them saying. When I go from classroom to classroom, I make a point of asking kids about their learning. And what is amazing to me is how articulate our students have become with what I'm learning, why it's important. When I go into classrooms where they are really moving more towards the standards-based model and this competency-based model and really focusing on what is it I want you to learn, what are the habits of mind, I'm hearing the kids be able to articulate those things. And I think that's pretty powerful. For a student to say, I really understand claims and evidence, but sometimes when it gets to the warrant of the argument, I struggle a little bit. Just the fact that students can really put those words together and articulate what it is I'm struggling with and how I'm going to get better, that's what I want all of our kids to walk away with.
So what's the 5-year goal for your school related to personalized learning and competency-based education?
At this time, we're really focused on standards-based teaching and learning. And for my staff, we have made the distinction between standards-based teaching and learning and standards-based grading. That grading is simply a reporting tool, but the teaching and learning is what goes on every day inside our classrooms. So I think the 5-year goal might be that we figure out the reporting end of the standards-based teaching and learning, but I think also that we have a high-quality core instruction, and the other part that my staff is really paying attention to is induction. And we've talked a lot about induction of both staff and students and how we will onboard people into the practices that we have here.
So what is the 5-year goal for Johnston County Public Schools?
If we were to look 5 years out, if we were to walk in a classroom, we'd want to see students engaged in personalized learning, being able to excel at their own rate, be able to articulate their own learning targets and monitor their own growth, have true student agency. And we would hope to see that our schools have the policy and procedure flexibility to grow this culture of learning equity.
So what advice would you give to another school or district looking to implement a more personalized learning, competency-based education model?
Laura, from the district side, I would have them start with the why, look at their instructional practices before they even think about looking at reporting. Our teachers have gotten caught up on grading, and what this really is about is student engagement, student learning, and student achievement. And my advice would be as a district to start with those practices.
And for Clayton Middle School?
I would echo Brandon's comments about equity, and I think that's what competency-based education is really about for students. It's about making sure that every student has the opportunity to have every door open. I think when we put everything aside, what I want for students to leave here is for them to be discerning readers. I want them to be able to really understand information that they're taking in. I want them to be able to consider multiple viewpoints. I want for them to be able to write and speak in a manner that advocates for themselves and others. And I think if they can do those things, then I feel like they have gotten a high-quality education from Clayton Middle.
Thank you. Thank you both, Brandon and Catherine, for sharing with us today. And thank you very much for listening.